My name is Tammy Dappa. I'm the principal consultant of Mapemond Resources, and then also the founder of Faples.com, an online clothing store. First, I got started with entrepreneurship in the year 2008, the very year I passed out from NYSC. I got into NYSC in 2007 October and passed out from NYSC September 2008. And so 2008 I started Mapemond Resources, and then of course by December 30th of 2008 I got registered officially with the Corporate Affairs Commission. And then after 2008, in 2014 I started Faples. That's about 6 years or thereabout after I started Mapemond. I started Faples. A whole lot of story behind all of this, but that's basically how I started. I started with savings from my NYC allowance, and then of course by the time I got back and told my mom, whom I was living with at the time, what I wanted to do, she supported me as well too, with a little sum of money which I used in buying basic furniture, of course, in addition to my savings from my alawi, as we call it. And so that's how I got started. My father helped me out with a space somewhere in old GRA where I used as an office space. Of course, not the best of places, but it was good enough to get started with my business journey. Mapemond Resources actually started as a training institute. It was called the Maple Institute as at when I started. The focus was to train young people and make them prepared, for the life ahead. It was inspired by the impact I got from attending a similar training under LEAP Africa. So from 2008 all the way to 2010, I trained various young people in Port Harcourt on personal development, basis of entrepreneurship, financial management, and things like that. And I trained a total of over 100 young people within this period. However, I ran into serious challenges, I ran into serious troubles, which basically had to do with finance, sustainability. Of course, these young people really needed this thing, but they did not see it as a need, and so they didn't see a reason to pay for it. Of course, I managed to get along with it. I managed to partner with a friend who ran a computer training center, so it was a lot easier to run. But over time, I went out of cash. My savings got exhausted and all of that. So I moved on. I had to transform what I was doing. So I told myself, training on hold, I need to go into business proper. And what business did I want to go into? I wanted to go into something that was still in line with my area of interest. So what I had to do was to go pick out something that had always given me concern. I noticed that if Nigerians are given a gift that's brought from abroad, they value it so much, even if it's something as little as a pencil that when you convert it to the naira, it's about maybe 20 naira, but they value it so much, and I sought to find out why. And bottom line, to cut long story short, I discovered that the people who make these pencils, say maybe from France, pay so much attention to process and all of that, and at the end of the day, when they create something, even though it's just a pencil, there is so much positive perception about it. So we have this high view of France and anything that perhaps is coming out of France, including even a pencil. So I sought to see how I could help businesses, and organizations down in Nigeria as well to improve their processes, with the view of improving the perception of what they produce or the services that they offer. Ultimately, that's what we call branding, even though branding is defined in a very limited way in terms of logo design, colors, and all of that, But the heart of branding, is the establishment of processes and systems and a way of doing things that over time creates a consistent perception. So that's basically what Mapemond does. We've been working with a whole lot of clients and all of that, a long journey down to where we are. But we work with clients and all of that to help shape the perception about their business. So from logo designs to all marketing communications to research to proper consulting, strategy development, and even training for their employees. Everything that we need to put together to create a right perception about a business or an organization. That's basically what Mapemond does. So simple term, Mapemond does brand consulting. growing up was quite a very tough experience. Tough in the sense that one major issue we had to face growing up as a family was homelessness. For quite a number of years, we faced challenges with having a home to call our own in Port Harcourt. And so that led me to live in 3 different waterfronts in Port Harcourt: Cemetery Waterside, Bundu, and a place called Wheat and Bush, or Makuba as well, which was also a shanty settlement, even though it's no longer existing. And there was even a time when we lived in the classroom of the school where my mother works, because she still works there. But there was a time when we lived there, and what we usually did was, in the morning we take our bath and get ready and all, open the windows and all of that. In the night, let me repeat that. In the night, we close the windows of a particular classroom, and then we have newspaper sheets that we used to chalk into the windows. It was wooden windows that had some kind of holes in between. So we used the newspapers to chalk inside of those holes to prevent mosquitoes from coming in. And then that very classroom had a number of benches. Well, the benches, there were some churches that used some of the classrooms for their services, so we combined benches, in the night, and that's what we had as our bed. But by morning, we take our bath very early in the morning before the teachers and the school children begin to come, tidy up everywhere, remove the newspaper sheets and all of that from the window, open up the windows, rearrange the benches, and all of that. And even up till my university days, we still lived that way. As a matter of fact, we left the last shanty where we lived, that's Wheat and Bush, in 2006. In 2006. That's when we left that place, and then we moved on to some other part of town called Warfare Road. I remember lots of times when we couldn't even afford to feed, because my mom's salary was very meager, so we couldn't afford to feed. It was really tough, and at some point we had to start planting stuff behind the house, like pepper, like yam, sugarcane, a number of things that we could plant so that we could have our own supply of those things, even though of course they were not sufficient, but they went a long way. And we had lots of people, interestingly, who would give us a couple of beans here, 2 cups of rice here, who would bring onions for us, and all of that. So we're able to live that way for quite a long period of time, of our lives. And that was how basically what growing up was like for me. I remember vividly in my university days, a lot of times when we were on holidays, I don't go home. And interestingly, even my roommates, I'm sure if some of them get to watch this video, they'll be shocked to hear this. I didn't have where to go to during holidays, so I stayed back in the hostels. And unfortunately, a time now came when the school wanted to renovate the hostel. Of course, part of what necessitated that was because they wanted to move. There were some boys who stayed back in the hostel during holidays and were doing all kinds of things. So the school management frowned at those things and wanted to evict them. And so a good way of evicting them without students coming to protest or whatever was to say, okay, we want to renovate the hostels. So we're evicted. So I had to now go back after how many years? I had to go back to that our classroom where we used to stay years back. We had moved on from there. My younger brother was not around. He was in boarding school in Ebonyi State. My mom was living with a friend in a one-room accommodation in town, somewhere in Borokri. So I had to go back to this place by myself. In the night, I join the benches and sleep. In the morning, I take my bath. And then in the morning, I go out, visit friends in town, hang around until evening. And this was the routine until whenever the school resumes academic session and I get back to school. So I faced a great deal of challenge with regards to accommodation in this same Port Harcourt. Of course, I'm from River State. Sometimes when I think about it, I'm like, oh, and all of that. But up till about 2006, we finally now moved. We were able to get a place somewhere at Iwofe, and so we finally moved there and we're able to reorganize our lives and take things up from there. In all of these, having to face accommodation problems, for a very long time over and over in the city of Port Harcourt, I always had something at the back of my mind, even in these various shanties and waterfronts where I lived. And what I had at the back of my mind was the fact that, yes, I live here, but I don't belong here. In my mind, I was very conscious of that fact. So even those days when we had to drink garri, I'd never drank garri with the mindset of, we are suffering and there is no food. I drank garri with the mindset of, this is what we have available. Thank God. That was the consciousness with which I did all of that. So I always had that mindset that this is not, life for me. It's only a bus stop along the journey called life. It will definitely get better. I held on to that belief. So even when opportunities started coming for me to walk myself, out of where I was to where I would have loved to be, I was able to make very good use of those opportunities. So it's important, the mindset that we carry, how we think, how we even appraise our situations, how we look at situations of life, the meanings we give to our situations in life. It could either, like somebody will always say, I could either look at the cup and say the cup is half full, or look at the cup and say the cup is half empty. The same situation, the same exact scenario, but different interpretations, different perspectives. So I look at the cup and I say, okay, the cup is half full. For every new day I wake up as an entrepreneur, I face challenges. Challenges come, of course, in different shapes and sizes, different forms. Of course, there was a time when capital was the challenge, or rather, I saw capital as the real challenge. Starting up with limited funds, my allowance and even what my mom gave to me wasn't so much. It was just to get started. However, even when the business started generating revenue, there were other challenges. For example, the challenge of having to build a team that can be in place for an extended period of time to be able to execute the actual business strategy. So you find out that a lot of time people come and maybe they don't stay. Of course, they don't stay for different reasons. One of the most frequent reasons is because they want quick success as well too. So they are not willing to stick it out with you. On the other hand, you don't have the amount of money that is required to sustain them. So when you look at it from their own perspective as well, it's a matter of personal choice. Do I really want to stick to this person even though I'm not, receiving a whole lot, or do I want to move on? So a lot of times they move on to other things and all of that. So having to build a team has been a very major challenge, even though it's a challenge that we've been able to find a way around in recent times. And then of course that of funding, which I like to also revisit. You sometimes have people who are willing to invest in your business, but then the problem is that there are investors who are expecting instant gratification. They are expecting instant reward, and we all know that business doesn't work that way. It's like planting a tree. You have to wait for a while for your tree to grow and all of that and get to the point of producing fruit. But it doesn't work that way with quite a number of investors or willing investors. Perhaps these investors have been used to oil money, supplying petroleum products to companies and getting instant payments and things like that. So long-term investment perhaps, is something that is far-fetched for them. But the challenge is real. Of course, another challenge is the challenge of marketing, because we grew up with the perception, with the notion that marketing is not for everyone. So for example, I studied engineering in school, and as an engineering student, it never crossed my mind one day that I would need to have marketing skills in my quest for success, until I found myself an entrepreneur, or as an entrepreneur, and it dawned on me that I need to learn how to market. And so that's even a personal challenge, because when we talk about challenges in business, it's easy for us to keep looking outside at the external factors. But over time, I've grown to the point where I like to focus more on the internal factors, because that's what helps us grow a thick skin and be able to weather the storm. The internal factors we're able to have control over. So my inability to market was a major challenge. In fact, I was not even able to articulate what I had to offer, even though I knew that it had value, but I wasn't able to articulate it in a way that it will communicate with, the people that I'm trying to offer my services to. So in summary, limited funding was a challenge. 2, building a team, challenge. 3, investors who are not very enlightened or informed, a challenge. And then thirdly, dealing with a market that is not so aware of your kind of service. Even till now, we still struggle with trying to explain the whole concept of branding and all of that. In fact, we've gotten to a point where before we consult for any business or any organization right now, we have to conduct a training first on the concept of branding. Anybody who is not willing to go through that training with us is already a sign that will most likely have a problematic relationship. So it's that bad that we're also dealing with a market that is not as aware as they should be. But then the onus is on us. How I'll rate myself is quite a difficult one. Well, I'm not where I want to be yet, but I'm definitely moving much closer to where I want to be. One concern has always been, how can I create a structure that can operate even without me? How can I create a system that can outlive me? And that is what I spent the most part of my 2017 doing, putting systems in place that would ensure that the business continues even without me. I have not been able to finalize that process, but I think I've been able to achieve about 70%, of that process, one of which has to do with being able to bring on board a partner, somebody who understands the inside details of the business and who will be able to step in the event that I'm not available for any reason whatsoever. A person who can step in and be able to handle issues, situations, and all of that. So that's definitely what I've been working on. My vision is actually to be able to build a company. My vision is not to stay at the level of being self-employed, because we do a lot of things, we are busy and all, but mostly it's all captured under self-employment. That's not what I want to achieve. I want to actually build a company, that employ people and all of that, and with or without the founder, the business is still ongoing. So I'm very vision driven. I have that vision clearly before me, and I will be consolidating on the work I've done in that regard. In 2018, I've done a lot of work on that this year. Last word of encouragement to young entrepreneurs out there. Simple. Consistency helps you to keep what you've gotten through persistence. What that simply means is you're going to persevere, and I believe strongly that if you hold on and you really have something of value you are offering, of course you will succeed. But it's one thing to succeed, it's another thing to stay up there, to manage success. So be consistent while you persevere, while you're working hard and all of that. Also to be consistent. Now, consistent not in terms of maintaining the same level all through. You have to keep improving, but in terms of your standard, how reliable and dependable you are and all of that. Be consistent. Let people know you over time. Sometimes we miss out on our opportunities, because by the time the opportunities come, we are now distracted. We've moved into other things. Maybe you heard on radio, that people make $10 million in 1 month. So all of a sudden you abandon your business, you jump into that one. Tomorrow again, you hear that, don't come, you leave your business again. So you keep jumping from one thing to another. So when people really want to refer you, want to recommend you, they are not sure what exactly you do, or if you are still doing what you said you've been doing. So you have to be consistent, because success doesn't happen automatically. It's after a while. When people notice that for 5 years, 6 years, you've been doing the same thing, it's a lot easier for them to begin to make referrals and recommendations. So be consistent. That's my word. There are a lot of things to say, but be consistent. Consistency keeps what persistence gets. Well, a lot of things that I would advise young entrepreneurs not to attempt or to avoid. Understand what you want to get into, and by that I mean the business that you want to do. So don't be too proud, to submit to somebody else, to learn from the person, to understand the dynamics. If you say you want to become a photographer, okay, even if you've learned photography, still go somewhere else where you could learn business itself, and then you apply the business principles you've learned into your photography business. It will do a whole lot of good. And trying to navigate all by yourself, I think I would have gone a lot farther than I have now if I was opportune to have somebody to work with, to understand a lot of the things I had to learn by myself. Because usually once you are doing self-tutoring, once you are having to teach yourself, it takes a longer time, compared to when you are learning under someone. Number 2, deal with your distractions, okay? Deal with your distractions. There are lots of distractions. You want to catch up with what society expects of you. If you are really not ready to get married, please don't be under any pressure to get married. Focus on building your business. Focus on clarifying what your goals are. Pick your friends carefully. One of the things that will be most instrumental to your growth is the network of friends that you have around you. So if you have friends who are not adding value to you, you will need to begin to rework your network of friends. Have the right people around you. Change, your circle of friends. Go for programs, events, places that will expose you to a new set of people and all of that. Even though you want to keep your old friends, not a problem, but you definitely will need to meet new people, that you will learn from, that will challenge you, and all of that. Of course, financial intelligence. You need to understand money. It doesn't matter how hard you work. It doesn't even matter how much money you make in business. You will still come down if you don't understand financial intelligence. So you need to acquire financial intelligence. Delay gratification. Okay? Stop being in a hurry to buy the latest iPhone that everybody is buying when you really know that it is out of your reach. Rather buy a phone that after you buy the phone, you still have some balance in your account. So delay gratification. Don't be in a hurry to spend money to buy all the gadgets and stuff unless they are your work tools and equipment. Ask yourself, can this wait? If it can wait, let it wait. And then of course, work on yourself, which is personal development. It's very important. The way you package yourself, the way you present yourself, the way you communicate and all of that, determines the value that even clients that you deal with will place on you. So if you don't understand these things and all, you'll find out that your value is a lot lower and it's difficult for you to grow at the rates that you want to grow. So work on yourself, get your act together, acquire the soft skills that you need to acquire, all round, so that you'll be able to add more value to yourself, and then you'll be priced better, depending on what the nature of your business is. One more thing, the struggle for survival is real. So while you're trying to grow your business, you are still battling with, if you're married like me, you have to still battle with, coping with house rent issues, with welfare of your family. If you have dependents as well too, you have to also manage with their upkeep and all of that. So on the one hand, there's a struggle for survival. On the other hand, you are trying to build a business. And one thing that will help you a great deal is for you to be able to mind what you spend money on. Watch your expenses. A lot of time we focus too much on making more money and we forget one very important thing, which is to watch our expenses. Business, entrepreneurship, I came to realize that it's my wife. So if you ask me now, I think I'm married to 2 women. My business and then my wife. So, and both of these women want attention. So you come back home even in the evening, one client is still on your neck on something you need to deliver. Your wife wants to have you at home. She wants to gist with you. She wants to have conversations with you. But you're still telling her, baby, let me just send this email. So you're on the laptop trying to send one email, or the other, and it feels like it's just for that evening. But then the whole of that week, it happens that same way. In fact, sometimes you have to even go out again in the night, because that's when some clients are available to meet with you. So it's a constant struggle having to balance, your marriage life, your family life, with your business life, both dragging for exactly the same thing: resources, time, even your emotions, because you invest the emotions in your business, you invest the emotions also too in your family, in your marriage. As I speak to you, I'm not telling you about something that I have conquered. I'm speaking to you about a challenge that is still on. If you're a counselor, if you are watching this video, you can reach me please and counsel me, because it's a real challenge that I am facing. My name is Tammy Dappa, Principal Consultant of Maple Resources, and you're watching Inspire by Edo Media.